right, so first of all, I just want to know how you're doing. It's finals week. You're teaching at UCSD. How's it going for you so far?
Finals week, it feels good because, you get to see, especially with what I teach, you get to see all the accomplishments over time. And
Yeah.
so, especially in my production, sorry, my speaker's on.
Oh, no worries.
Um, my production class as well as my mixing class, you can see, from how they started to now, like the improvement, and the being more creative in their decisions when creating music or mixing. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I always love the final week because they give their presentations and it's great, man. You get to see and you also get to see what you can improve as a professor,
Yeah.
cuz we don't have it all, you know what I mean? Like we have our set ways sometimes and as technology and creativity changes, we have to adapt as well.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so yeah, it's I love finals week.
See, I think you have a super interesting story pertaining to how you became a teacher. So I'd love just to hear about if this is something you were planning on or how this manifested in your life.
Well, it's funny, like a lot of my friends always say, you've always been a teacher, man. I was like, oh yeah. I mean, when you think back and look at your life from a different lens, then you're like, oh wow, yeah, I never really thought about it. But my journey has been crazy. So, I've been an artist living off of my art for the past 33 years, right? And so, right out of high school, working at Tower Records in Philadelphia, which Tower Records is one of the largest record stores in the world. And there's still one left that's in Japan, which is independently owned. But there's a great documentary on it. Enough of that. I worked at Tower, but the beautiful thing about working at Tower, because I chose to work there because I wanted to be around music
Yeah.
and like-minded individuals who are into music, and also help people find music. Because people come in. We didn't have Shazam, we didn't have the internet. People coming in singing the songs like, "Yeah, I just heard this on the radio." They're singing them to me. I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I was pretty good with it, but yeah, when it was too pop, I couldn't hang. But
Yeah.
regardless, working at Tower, I made all these great connections with all these producers and like-minded creatives who were just starting out too, in the late 80s, early 90s. And a lot of them I've brought into my classes because they've pioneered lots of different genres through the years, and it's been such a pleasure to kind of bring it around full circle. But anyway, working at Tower, made these connections. But while I was doing that, I was making demos of my music because I was always creating music in high school and everything. And then
Yeah.
I got signed. I sent my demos out because I knew all the A&R people because I was a buyer for dance music, and they I got signed, and so my music partner at the time, Josh Wink, we linked up and we did the first EP, which was called E Culture Tribal Confusion. It blew up in Europe, and then went to Europe to DJ, and it was like, oh snap, I can travel the world and do this. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like I'm
Yeah.
I'm making a short version of it, but that was an aha moment.
Yeah.
Like
How
when
did
I'm
that
playing.
feel? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like, what was that feeling like when you saw your music just blowing up and seeing like the crowd's reaction?
Yeah, it's really bizarre. I mean, I was DJing as well as working at Tower, so I was just DJing locally in Philly, getting my, you know, honing in on my craft.
Right.
But my intention wasn't to be a DJ. It was really to just be a producer. But DJing, I loved it so much, and it was a vehicle, and people loved how I played in Philly.
Yeah.
And, that was the start of it. And then you're always like, when you're a DJ, you're always like, man, I want to hear my own track on the system.
Yeah,
See
absolutely.
people, you know? And so when that does happen, just on a local level, I was like, yo, that's amazing. Like, wow, people are really digging it. Or that, we had to refine things too. Like, we were lucky to have the opportunity to DJ. And so Josh, of course, DJ. And we could test out. We're like, oh, we need to bring the kick up or whatever. So it was kind of
Yeah.
like a laboratory, right? And so, but to see it overseas, this is pre-internet, so you never know who's hearing it, what stores have it. Like you really don't know
Yeah.
until you go there, and or magazines. You'll see some charts, and then you're like, wow, music's a universal language, man. So this is what I want to do now.
Yeah.
So when I got back, um, funny enough, around the same time, I met Butterfly from Diggable Planets,
Okay.
and he had come to Tower Records looking for something, and that's where we met. I was like, "Yo, you need to come down to my club. I'm doing a party." Blah blah blah. He came down. He's like, "Yo, I need to make some copies of my demo. Can I come to your crib and make copies?" I'm like, "Yeah." And it was the Diggable Planets demo, and I was like, "Yo, what is this?" He was telling me, and then he moved to New York from Philly. He's from Seattle, then moved to New York or Philly, and then once he finished the demo, then he went to New York. So he got the deal maybe 6 months later, and I'm still working at Tower. He's like, "Yo, you gotta be the DJ, man. You gotta do." I was like, "Nah, I'm doing house." I really wasn't a hip hop DJ per se.
Yeah.
He's like, "Nah, I'm putting together a band, and you would manipulate all the samples." And I did. I did it, and we toured for 3 years around the world. It was mind blowing. I made all these connections around the world. Then I came back. I quit Tower. I mean, I just went for it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's a long history. Like we could go into it all, but regardless, it led me here, right? So
Yeah.
someone that I know that was close to me was like, "Yo, there's a position at UCSD. It's totally you." I was like, I never thought about being a professor. Like, you know what I mean? That just
Yeah.
wasn't on my radar at all.
Yeah.
And my lady at the time, she was like, "You should just do it to see all your accomplishments in one place." Because, when you're an artist full time, you're always on the hustle.
Yeah.
You don't have a chance to like sit back and see what you've done. And then when I did that, I was like, wow, I might have a shot. You know what I mean? And then I got really hyped about it.
Yeah.
So I sent everything in, but I like to detach from outcomes. So I'm like, okay, I sent it in. It is what it is. If I get it, whatever. And it was a few months later. I'm on a flight going to Europe, and I get email, and it was like, "Yo, you're in the top 5. We want to do a Skype." This was before Zoom, right?
Let's go.
Want to do
Yeah.
a Skype for you. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I'm gonna be coming out of the club by the time it's your time, and so let's do it. So I Skyped, and then on the flight home, they said we want to fly you to UCSD. It's like, oh snap, this is real. Like it's really happening.
Yeah.
So I came here. I did I did 2 classes and then a seminar or like a lecture, and then I went to dinner with B plus. So Brian
Mhm.
Cross, B plus is a faculty here, but one of the greatest um, photographers in music and in general, but music is his forte, right?
Yeah.
And he's a friend of mine for years, and I forgot he worked here, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, so what was the transition going from you know artist, because he's an artist, to being a professor, and how does that balance? How do you balance that? He's like, bro, you got to do it. It's incredible. I can't believe you're gonna be here. Da, da. And so I did it. I it was B plus that really pushed me over the, because I was still hesitant.
Why?
because
Well, where was the hesitation coming from?
good question. The hesitation was I felt like I was going to lose some sort of freedom
Mm.
because I've been an artist for 33 plus years. You kind of get used to your own everything.
Yeah.
And so to work for an establishment, you're kind of like, do I really want? But the way B plus laid it out to me, it made all the sense in the world, and it's the best decision of my life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean,
It's led me
teaching.
right to this interview.
Absolutely. I feel like, I mean, teaching is like one of the greatest arts I think you can bestow upon somebody else, you know? And just
Exactly.
knowing you, it's like, it fits you perfectly. So I think it's really funny how life has a funny way of working stuff out like that, you know? So
Yeah.
now that you have been a professor,
Yes.
what kind of gratification have you gotten from that or fulfillment? Like,
Oh,
how has it
dude.
impacted your life?
Bro, I mean, I have a daughter. She's 26, so all her accomplishments always top. Like I'm like super proud.
Yeah.
But there's the same sort of energy when your students are killing it. You know what I mean? So you're just like, wow, like, they'll hand in a project or something and it's just like next level and you're just super proud. It's like
Yeah.
they're your offspring or whatever, you
Yeah,
know?
you had a part in that. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And it's not an ego thing at all. It's just like, wow, like, someone passed me this information, right? Or I discovered this information just by, trial and error. And then I can pass that info down so that, you don't make the same mistake or, here's the limitations, whatever, here are the obstacles, but then here's the reward and,
Yeah.
and to see that reward, but also to get these emails like, yeah, your class saved my life, like, especially for Blacktronika, like, it really was enlightening. Like, it really changed my perspective of, you know, black pioneers in
Yeah.
electronic music or pioneers of color because
Absolutely.
we encompass everything. So it's like, wow, like, this really is my calling. Yeah.
For sure. I feel like you're just a vessel for spreading this type of information cuz I mean, I remember I took your class. I didn't know anything about house music, how it started. I didn't even know what funk was, honestly. Like my mom was bumping that alternative Christian music growing up, so I had
Right.
no
Oh,
idea
okay.
about any of that stuff. So I think it's just, I mean, it's crazy what you're doing just because I feel like every time I've had a class with you, you can tell that everybody looks at you with the same kind of respect, you know?
Right.
It's like it's an admiration. It's like they're here to learn, but you're one of those people that wants to genuinely help people out. And I feel like people gravitate towards that. And I think that you're helping people build like their greatest skills. Like, as you said, you're
Thank
seeing the results of people that are, you know, like really taking what you say to heart, and you're inspiring kids, you know, because it's cool. I don't think a lot of kids have somebody that they can look to be like, oh, here's a guy that's been doing this like for real in his whole life, and he's telling me that I'm doing well in this area, or he's actually helping me. Like,
you.
that's a big deal, you know.
Right.
So I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that on behalf
Oh,
of all those kids.
thank you, man. Thank you. And wait till we're back on campus because the loft, because we were
Yeah,
just starting, I brought a few, acts down to perform. And, I really want to start a Blacktronika night, like
that
really
would be
hone in
dope.
on it. Yeah. I would love to teach the class in the club. Like, that would be the
Yeah,
ultimate. I
yeah,
already
that would be
asked them,
rad.
but it's not going to happen. But
So
yeah.
yeah, that would be crazy. I can't wait until we get back on campus so we can start doing these performances and stuff.
Right.
But you know, as like a teacher, has there been anything that you've learned, you know, through your dealings with your students?
Oh, man. Yeah. Like, just, you know, the approach, the kind of the innocence and I don't want to say this is in a bad way, but
Right.
there's a naivety with their approach to certain production techniques, right?
Hmm.
But it's those it's that kind of childlike energy, and I'm not calling them child, but
Right.
youth. Let's say youthful. Let's
Yeah.
use that word. It's that youthful energy that it's just like let's just go for it, even though we don't know everything. We're
Yeah.
just gonna. I'm putting this on here, 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 and out of that, and as you could see through all these different genres that came out, especially the LA beat scene, they didn't know how to use compression in the traditional way, which the overuse of it created this sound that is now in the fabric of most music that's coming out, right?
Yeah.
And so, what I learned from a lot of my students is to harness my youthful energy again,
Hmm.
because sometimes you get in this kind of you just get it. I don't It's not lazy or anything. You just get in a groove, right? And you're comfortable. That's the word.
Yeah.
You get comfortable and you're not so much on the edge of things like you were when you were in first year of college or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it seeing that, and then I start to do my own stuff. I'm like, yeah, let me do what they. And so that's what has helped me. And also, I don't I don't say, a lot of the students in the class I'll say, you know, this is considered wrong,
Hmm.
but I'm not saying it's wrong. I just want to show you another way to do it, to think about it. This is how this works.
Yeah.
And now that you know how it works, now you can break the rules with an educated, with educated moves,
Yeah. With the
right?
framework. Yeah.
Exactly. Because if you know how something works, then you can break it in a way that works for you and works for everyone else. Whereas
Right.
maybe before it was a little bit too much or whatever. And so in doing that, I've started to break more rules again like I used to back then. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it's probably like just being naive. There's a lot of kids right now that are just hungry, that
Yeah.
just have that passion because they haven't had that opportunity and they don't necessarily know how to get to where they envision themselves. But like the passion is at its peak right now. So I
Exactly.
feel like, can you relate to that? Do you remember like when your passion was the highest, like coming up, and like what that felt like, and how have accurate have your visions been of like coming true regarding music? Were you able to
No.
visualize it beforehand, or did it come out as planned?
So, damn, good question. Yeah, you need a TV show.
Talking with Tate.
Yeah, talking with Tate. Uh, that's it. Oh, that's it. You are. That's it. Um. So, wow, great question. Okay, first thing, I haven't. I've never lost the passion. It's just I channel it differently, right?
Hmm.
And so I'm not. I'm just a little bit cooler about about things. I try to be quiet in my moves, and then when it's ready to launch, then here you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of back then, I would always be like, "Hey, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this." And when you do that, if it doesn't happen at that time or whatever, then it's like, you know. And so I've learned to just, as much as possible, be chill about saying what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
I just do it, you know. And I've
Yeah.
always been just a doer, a leader, right? I just do things because I'm the only child, right? So I've always just like had this kind of I own the world attitude, not in a bad way, just in when you're young, you know, you got that little chip on your shoulder, like, yo, I can do anything,
For
and
sure.
I know everything. When you're like 21.
Yeah.
But in as you get older and you make your mistakes and whatever, then you start to see, okay, I don't know everything, but I'm still doing this. Now, as far as the vision, I didn't have I was just flowing, man. Like
Hmm.
I never was I never, I made goals. I
Yeah.
always make goals, even weekly goals, daily goals, but I don't have expectations.
Mm.
I used to, and then I think when I'm about 30 years old, I was like, I stopped with the expectations, right? And I just really got into a flow. And so it was all about you put you plant the seeds, whatever the project is or whatever the album, you put it out and you let it grow. Like
Yeah.
you can't force anything anymore. Like when you start to force the energy and you start chasing things, you're chasing something, you're losing energy, right? But when
Absolutely.
you attract, when you kind of dial in and you attract that energy, you attract what you want, right? By writing it down or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a whole other ball game, and then you start to get energy, right?
Yeah.
And also having the right people around you, because sometimes, even if it's your best friend growing up or whatever, if they're not pulling their weight, and doing what they got to do, if they're part of your clique, that energy is gonna bring you down. So
For
you
sure.
know you can be cool about it, but you got to be transparent too. Like you got to say to the person, like, yo, either you got to do your thing, or you can't rely on me. You got to do your thing. Like, here's the platform.
Yeah.
Now you got to jump off, like, do your thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And bring up someone else. And so that's been the thing. So I never have really expectations. Even when filling out grants and proposals, like, I'll just do it and forget about it.
Yeah.
It's the best ever. Then it's a surprise when you get it.
Yeah.
Like 3 months later, like, oh, you got, like, recently I got something. I was like, oh, I forgot all about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the perks of living with no expectations. It sounds like to me
It's
that you've
hard
just,
though. It's hard.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And it just sounds like to me that you've grown just in your trust with the universe and its plans, you know? Because I think that
Trust.
there's a point in life, like when you're really ambitious and striving for something, where you kind of have that mindset where, like, oh, trust me, like I know what I'm doing, like follow me, like just follow me, like
Yes.
I got it, I got the blueprint. And then you reach a certain level in that, like, kind of spiritual journey where you're like, all right, like I don't have the blueprint, like I know everything's gonna work out, it's gonna work out, so let me just be in tune and kind of just let go and just be like, all right, like whatever happens. I'm just gonna like
Exactly.
ride the flow, as you said. So
Exactly.
that actually, that's, we never talked about this, but I would love to know, because I always see you posting about like spiritual stuff. I know you do your readings, your meditation and stuff. So when did that aspect of your life happen? Like when did you become
Yo.
spiritual?
So I've always been spiritual just because of parents, right? My mom is very religious actually, but
Hmm.
my dad, he goes to church and all, but both of them are spiritual. There's a difference between being like religious
Yes.
and spiritual, but they
Absolutely.
both encompass both things. But I kind of gravitated to my mom's spiritual side, like the way she looks at the world, right?
Hmm.
And she's kind of, she doesn't realize it, but she's very, Buddhist, you know,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
she's the way she looks at things. But that was kind of the seed, but I didn't really harness and get into that energy until I want to say 13 years ago or so.
Really.
Yeah, like kind of recent, right? And something really bad happened, right? I was in a relationship. It was really bad, breakup, whatever. And then this yoga instructor that I know, we were working on music actually.
Hmm.
She was like, "You got a really dark cloud around you. You need to go see my friend. She's a shaman,
Hmm.
right?" Now, I definitely believe in shamans before going, right?
For
for
sure.
sure.
But I was like, there was always kind of this fear around it. But I was at a point, I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. Let me go see this shaman, right? And plus, my friend telling me this, my friend at the time telling me this, I was like, all right, if you see it, then I should go. So I went and it was like, yo, mind altering. Like, I'm not going to go into super details, but there were a lot of like, just a lot of things. There were dark clouds around, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She cut cords, whatever. And then cords as in spiritual stuff.
Right.
Right.
And then I felt lighter. And she was like, you need to really pursue meditation. So I started going to this place called the Shambhala Center. They're all around the world and they're free.
Mm-hmm.
Free meditations. You know, you they just take offerings, you know.
Yeah.
So every Monday I would go to meditation and bro. I mean it was great in a group. It's very powerful. But then it's harder on your own and then so going to class really helped to get into the habit. And then once you're in the habit, it's easier on your own. And then writing down what you want to manifest. It's really powerful, man. Like
Yeah.
it's really like spell casting.
Yeah.
It's really like that, man. You know, and I don't say it to a lot of people cuz you know, a lot of people aren't in that mindset. But I will say since the pandemic, you know, since people have been so into isolated and they have nothing else but to look at themselves
Yeah.
and look at what has changed their life, what could change their life, where they are in their life. You know, it really is a mirror. Like the pandemic really forced people to like realize, and also couples and relationships to figure out, is this gonna work or not? You know,
Yeah.
like it's real.
For sure.
And I think that, you know, I mean, rest in peace all the people that passed and, you know, their families, beautiful energy to the families, please, like good energy.
Absolutely.
But we needed something to wake people up to themselves, right? And to
Yeah.
what they, and so if you look at, you know, let's just say social media because that's the most, you know, commercial avenue that you see everything, right?
Right.
Spiritual enlightenment is everywhere. Now, you have a lot of false, sorry, you have a lot of false spiritual stuff too. But the awareness, you know, the global awareness of I need to do work on myself is out there. And
Definitely.
those that are at that point where they need to they realize they need to do that work, then they're doing it,
Yeah.
you know? And so that's for a better tomorrow. You know what I mean?
For
So
sure.
now I speak about it more to friends because I don't feel so they're gonna think I'm like some weird dude, you know.
Yeah.
I don't even think that anymore. Like, but this is when I first started. Like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
talk about it too much. But
Yeah. I
now,
understand
like,
that.
a good, like, actually, one of my best friends growing up, he was going through something, and I sent him like a special book, you know, meditations and stuff, and he got it, dude. Like now, he's like meditating. But if I sent it to him like 10 years ago, he wouldn't have been ready for it.
It's a beautiful thing about timing, though.
Yeah, yeah,
It all
divine time.
comes for real. I think that's. I think you definitely feel that in the air, just kind of a global awareness going on, kind of like an awakening. I see it just
Yeah, yeah.
in kids my age, for sure, where just
Hmm.
you know I relate to not wanting to talk to people because there's a certain level of like you can't really describe a feeling to somebody else. You
Yes.
know, because I've had friends and stuff that I've tried to talk to about this stuff, and I can articulate it the best I know how. But it's like unless you like it clicks, you just
Right.
you don't understand it. But I'm seeing a lot of people that even I know. I think like people that are in tune, as I'd say, kind of
Mm.
like conscious and aware. I think that it's that time that they get to shine right now. I see it. I pick up on it with artists and stuff coming up right now. Like those artists, like Sci-Hi the Prince. There's like artists that are, that have been in tune with those good forces. Like I feel
Mm.
them starting to get just more recognition, like slowly and slowly. So I think that we're reaching a point right now. I don't know how to describe it, but there's just like an energy out there where
Mm.
like opportunity is just coming to uplift those who are trying to uplift others. Like I really
Yeah, yeah.
genuinely believe that's happening right now, which is exciting, which makes me think about, what's happening with music right now and what's going to happen because I feel a resurgence in talking about something that actually matters, cuz
Yeah, it's coming.
out of
Definitely.
urgency, but you know, so how do you who are the artists today? Like I know you listen to an abundance of different type of music, but like which artists today do you admire like their work for?
Bro, there's so many, man. But um well, I love Kendrick. Like
Mm.
I'm going to talk about a few different genres, right?
All right.
So, Kendrick, like, just love his flow, but also the words, his
Yeah.
messages. Um, I love J. Cole, not so much all his music, but I love his lyrics, right?
Yeah.
I like to hear him maybe in another context, right? Like
Yeah.
someone else producing him. Man, there's great, so many great acts. Knowledge, one of my favorite producers.
Raw. Yeah.
He used to be in Philly. He was part of the Clip Mode squad. I've been trying to get him for Blacktronika. I just can't get in touch with him. It's just the weirdest thing.
Like manifest it right now. It'll
Yeah,
happen.
exactly. There we go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's out
See,
there.
see, I've been forcing it instead of just like letting it happen. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there you go. Thanks. See, you helped me. See, but knowledge, yo. I mean, crazy. And his old partner, music partner, Mind Design.
Mm.
Mind Design just released something new. I think, yeah, today is Friday, right?
Yeah.
Sick, bro. It's so beautiful, man. So yeah, on that scene, that's what I like. And then on House, I mean, man, Black Coffee's new album, it is one of the best house albums I've ever heard. And Usher's on it, Pharrell's on it, Cassie's on it. Like all these
Dang.
R&B artists are on it
Yeah.
who wanted to do like house, but you know, they don't they didn't know that it was so big until they got to South Africa cuz South Africa, I mean, it's like pop. It's
Really.
not.
Huh.
It's treated like pop. Yeah, house music. Oh my, huge. Like stadiums,
Dang.
stadiums of
That's
people
nuts.
dancing the house, right?
That would be crazy. Yeah.
And so Black Coffee is the pinnacle. He's the guy carrying the torch, right?
Hmm.
So this is his first album, and it's unbelievable. He just did Tiny Desk yesterday, like NPR. They released it yesterday. It's incredible. So on the house, he's like number one right now for me.
Yeah.
Um, and then other stuff like Senia Rubinios, I always love her. She's a friend as well, but her new stuff's like wow. The video, um, and the new Saint Vincent is hot.
Oh yeah. I heard that too.
It's really good.
So,
So I'll leave it at that.
all right, for sure. So going along with music, like what are those songs that you'll never ever skip? Like the timeless music in your book.
Dude, that's like the hardest. Man, that's the hardest question. But I will say Stevie Wonder's Superwoman, I'll
Mm.
never skip, you know? And that's a long one. It's like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just gotta play out. Don't stop till you get enough, Michael Jackson. Like always, always. Actually, funny enough, Daft Punk Around the World
Mm. Yeah, that's
always
a
feel
great song.
good, you know?
Yeah.
Always feel good. There's a lot. There's a lot, but yeah, those are the ones that come to my head right away.
Yeah, those are the ones that speak to you.
Yeah.
So where do you think your inspiration comes from? Is it like random bursts? Like, do you know when you're gonna have a creative day, or how does that usually occur for you?
Nah, like that's all right. So before being a professor, right? Every day was like you every day had endless possibilities because I wake up, like it's my rules, whatever, like I make my own schedule.
Yeah.
So I go to the studio, but then the other thing is this is pre-COVID.
Mm.
So, you know, I would go to the cafe in the morning, work on music on my iPad, leave, go downtown, window shop, run into friends everywhere. This is in Philly.
Okay.
Then I go to my favorite park, just chill, call my dad, call my mom or something, meet up some friends. This is my day, right?
Yeah.
Then I go to movies. Seriously. I go to movies like 3 times a week, seeing foreign films, just whatever, new films, like commercial films. And then I go back to the studio, right? And then always something happened because I was so inspired through the day. I might
Mhm.
record sounds, whatever. Now that's pre-COVID, pre being a professor.
Yeah.
So now, as a professor, I have to balance time, right? And that's
Yeah.
not a bad thing. I'm cool with it. But now, okay, like this quarter, I had 3 classes. So before I even started the quarter, I knew going in, no creative time really.
Yeah.
I may make some sounds or something, but it's really like about my students and their projects, homework and stuff, and grading and
Yeah.
so 3 courses is a lot. Usually two is the max for the quarter, but somehow I had three, and so I'll never do three again. But
Okay.
two's cool, and you learn to balance, and it's good to have that time off
Yeah.
because every day you're not going to be creative, right?
Yeah.
And so one thing that you find inspiration in other things other than movies. I mean, right before COVID, I went to the movies, and then they opened the movies back up. I ran to see Tenant, right?
Yeah.
Super inspired. I came back to the studio, worked on something.
Hmm.
So that's always going to be there once we're back into some sort of normalcy, right?
Yeah.
But just walking around campus, but my students inspire me so much.
Hmm.
So that's what has been giving me inspiration for sounds and all. And in last quarter, I did this whole album with a lot of my students.
Yeah.
So we did this. They remixed some of my stuff, and that was like beautiful collaboration. And so now I find inspiration in other things, other than what I was doing before. So it's great, but inspiration comes. You just never know when it's gonna come. Like
Yeah.
there's no, for instance, the other day I woke up at 4 in the morning. I'm like out of my sleep, bro. Like I woke up and I did this whole. So I'm doing this commercial for Blacktronika, right? For because
Right
it's
on.
gonna be a UC class for all UCs,
Yeah. Damn,
and
that's
so
awesome.
and so they
Yeah.
so they want to do. You know how they have those videos like you know the class of the class and the professors talking and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is cool, but I gotta come with some heat,
Yeah.
like electronic.
Definitely.
So one of my older students that I had, she was in Blacktronika first quarter. She graduated, incredible at video stuff, and so I hit her up, not at 4 in the morning, but I'm saying I hit her up,
Right.
and I said, "Yo, I got this idea," and this was the whole thing that came to me at 4 in the morning. So you just never know, and it's gonna be fire, bro. I mean, it's not like when I say fire, this is a commercial for a class. This isn't, you know.
Still, fire
But
is fire.
for what it is,
Yeah.
nobody's done this, man.
I don't doubt it. That's hype. When is that gonna come out? Do
I
you
don't
know?
know. I don't know. I hope I think it's supposed to be for fall, like,
Yeah,
for
man.
students and stuff.
So okay, so I just gotta say this. So how crazy is it that you literally went from just like a couple years ago, not even having the slightest idea in your head that you're gonna be a professor, to starting a class here that everybody genuinely enjoys, to now having to be something that's gonna spread to like every UC. That's pretty wild, you know? Like,
And listen, I gotta give it to the teaching and learning
yeah,
department. There was this lady in there, Karen. She left. She's now at Irvine, but we still talk. Actually, I gotta hit her up today.
yeah,
But she's the one that, like, I knew the class was gonna be popping and whatever, but I didn't think it would be like across the UCs. And I didn't even, cause I didn't know, right? I didn't know what was up,
yeah,
and I didn't know it could be an online course for the world. So that's my goal for 2022 fall. Anyone in the world can take the course. That's the goal, right?
yeah,
And we're almost there, right? And so, she was like, all you have to do is do 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 do. I was like, really? Did it? Got approved. Now it's DEI. Like, it's a diversity, um, equity, inclusion. Re-
yeah,
you can take that for your requirement. So it's like, wow.
yeah.
The
One,
timing, it's timing too.
yeah, timing. It's so important too. One of the cool things that happened when I took Blacktronika last quarter is like seeing the different people that you'd have on, seeing them like connect with each other, like a lot
Yeah,
of them I got the sense they hadn't seen each other in years or didn't even know the other person was gonna be there, and they'd be like,
right.
"Oh my god, I
I
haven't
did a
seen
lot of
you."
surprises. Yeah.
Yeah, so that I mean, that's crazy. So just like think about all the connections that you've made just through doing that. And I remember you had I think George, one of the guys
Oh,
that came on.
Nightmares on Wax.
Yes, Nightmares
Yeah,
on Wax
yeah,
came
yeah.
on, and I remember at the end of the class he just had that inspiration in his eye. Like that class was the vessel for him to start, like reminded him why he's making music again. So it
Yeah.
got him making stuff. So this class is it's crazy how like one little seed can blossom into something this big,
Bro,
honestly.
one, and we're just getting started. One
Yeah.
seed, bro. One idea. Everything everything in the world is one idea.
Yeah.
Everything. That mic you're holding, that's an idea. The headphones, an idea.
Yeah.
The computer we're using, Zoom.
Yeah.
Zoom is brilliant. All they have to do, bro. All Zoom has to do is get the sound right.
Yeah. For real.
Dude, we'll pay. I'll pay.
Yeah.
I'll pay 50 a month extra just to have good sound.
Yeah.
Like
For sure.
they're actually losing a lot of money.
Mm. Yeah, I don't doubt that.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, if you had good sound, imagine the type of performances that you could be doing on here, you
that's
know?
what I'm saying. Like, I mean, we do okay, like for
Yeah.
class and whatever, but if it was like proper sound, I mean, it has a lot to do with bandwidth and, of course, your internet connection and whatever,
Yeah.
but just stereo sound.
Yeah.
I know why they do it because it saves on, storage and all of that. But if people were willing to pay for that storage, I don't know. I think they should have stereo sound at least. For
Maybe
the recordings.
maybe that's something else that you could start manifesting right
That's
now. Somebody take it and run with it. Somebody
I
do
think
it.
I think they're on it. I think they're on it. Like they can't not be thinking about this, and I'm
Yeah.
sure like by fall maybe they'll have, because they do have stereo sound, and then last month they added high fidelity,
Yeah.
so it does sound better, but the recordings are still mono,
Yeah.
which it's not the best.
Yeah, it's not as quality. That's
Right.
crazy what you're saying about ideas though, because it's true. I feel like if anything is true, humans are definitely followers. They just kind of if they see somebody do something, it gives them the green light to actually do it. But I think
Right.
it's ironic because what people think of as the norm or the proper way of doing something, they only think that way because somebody at one point in time did it for the first time.
Right.
So it's
Exactly.
just like
Totally.
why like don't be afraid. I don't think anybody should be afraid to be the first person to do something, like
Well,
taking a
it's
shot in
funny
the
you
dark.
say this.
Yeah.
Jazzy Jeff said the exact same thing 2 weeks ago. He was like, He's like, everyone is a follower. Like, he wasn't saying in a bad way, but we were
Yeah.
talking about the music industry. He's like, everybody wants to do the same thing that's already out instead of finding a new sound, blazing the new trail. And I was like,
Yeah.
but the way he said it, it was just like how you said it. I was like, yeah, damn, I never really thought about that. Yeah.
It's like it's true, and I think like just doing new stuff. Like yeah, you can strive out and seek out to do something new, but I think the best stuff comes to fruition when you just do what you're naturally inclined to do. Like you don't think about it. You kind of
Right.
just let something speak through you. I feel like I don't like so that actually makes me curious. So when you've been making some of your songs, like some of your most popular songs, like when you've made it, do you have that just knowledge like, oh, this one's gonna go? Or has there been any that like has surprised you that you just put out and you're
Oh,
like, damn, this is
bro.
crazy.
First of all, I never. Now, when I was about your age,
Mm.
I'd be like, yeah, this is going to kill him.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't. But then I got out of that, got out of expectation. So
Yeah.
I just do it for me, right? Like, if I'm happy about it, then I'm good. I don't
Yeah.
really worry about everyone else. If they're going to gravitate, people who are going to gravitate to it are going to gravitate to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there've been some. Oh my God, there's so many surprises like that. I was like, "Are you all right?" One thing, right? I
Yeah.
did this remix called "Contemplation." It's by Josh One. He's from L.A.
Shout out to
The
him.
original, yeah, the original song is like reggae, like. And then I did. Well, the label asked me to do this remix, and I didn't really know him, right? But the
Yeah.
girl I was dating at the time was like really good friends with him. And she's like, "Oh, you should do it for him." And I was like, "All right." So I did the mix, right? For like, dude, it was like hardly any money, right?
Yeah.
And so because it wasn't a big budget, I was like, you know what? I'm only gonna spend a day on this thing, right? I literally did the track. Some tracks, I'm sure you know from writing. Sometimes you write and it just comes, right?
Yeah. Easy.
And some tracks in doing tracks is the same, right? This one, 45 minutes, bro. I was done. Like the whole remix. Then I had to mix it and stuff. So
Yeah.
one day it was done. I sent it in and forgot about it. Like, okay, cool. But it was rocking. Like rocking. Next thing you know, it's like huge. Every DJ's playing it. And to this day, it's one of the classics in Ibiza.
Dang.
Like every DJ plays this song, dude. It's on so many compilations and all this. Huge. It was probably the biggest remix I've ever done, right? As
That's
far
crazy.
as sales, but I didn't get any residuals or anything, but I got a lot of work from it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, that was that was probably the biggest surprise ever, man. Like, and then there's one more. There's one more.
Yeah.
I did this song with Ursula Rucker called Circe, right? It blew up from another remix. Jazzanova did a remix of it. They're from Germany. That was good, right? But that's nowhere near what I'm about. So we did this song like, I don't know, what was it, 90, maybe 97, 98, whatever, somewhere around there. Fast forward to 20, I want to say 13,
Yeah.
I get this literally, like, you would not believe this shit, right? I get this message on Facebook. Now, I don't even use Facebook,
Yeah.
right? But I said, you know what? Let me check my messages. This was 2013, so I was still kind of using. And it was a message that said, we want to license this song. It's for L'Oreal Paris. You
Mm.
know those commercials, right?
Yeah.
It's for Paris, for Europe, and this is the budget. I'm like, this can't. There's no way, right? But I said, I'm gonna answer this, you know.
Yeah.
And so I hit the guy back. And he's like, we've been trying to get in touch with you, this and that. And I don't understand why they didn't go on my website, but whatever. That's
Yeah.
beyond it. And I emailed. I was like, yeah, here's my publisher's info, whatever. And we couldn't find the guy that So it was on this label called Guidance,
Mm.
and they were out of Chicago, like big house label in the early '90s. We couldn't find the guy, so my lawyer was like, "Put it in escrow, right?
Mm.
So you can put that in escrow. We still get the publishing money, like everything's good." I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, cool." But he's like, "You can't touch that money. That's like when he comes out of the woodwork, whatever." And so we kept looking for this dude, right? But anyway, this L'Oreal thing happened, bro. The money, it was crazy. It was crazy how much money, right?
Yeah.
And Ursula got her piece, I got piece, the lawyer got, everybody was happy. And then in escrow we had this money, a lot of money waiting for this guy, right? He's
Yeah.
like, "We'll give it 2 years." Right? And so I'll go to New York. And so that song, it was in a L'Oreal Paris commercial, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Went to New York. I'm waiting to have a meeting for something else. And the lady runs out. She's like, "I'm so sorry." She's like, "It'll be like 15 minutes. I'm running over. Ivan from Guidance, right?" I was like, "I've been looking for him.
I've been.
I've been looking for him." And she's like, "He's here." I didn't, I was like, "Yo, I got money for you. Like, I have a lot of money for you, bro. I've been
Yeah.
looking for you." And he's the head of Rockstar Games.
Oh damn.
He does
Dang.
all the music supervision for Rockstar Games.
So
He's
he's
like,
probably straight.
he's straight,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, it was great money, man. He was like, "Yo,
Yeah.
thanks so much, man. Respect." Da da da. Like, and yeah, we still talk. Like, we're talking now about maybe something on Rockstar, but yeah, yeah.
Damn. That's crazy. So
The
what is your
universe,
reaction?
man.
That's for real. I feel like the connections that you make sometimes just through making stuff. Like even your
Right.
friend coming into the record store, right? Like just picking something up. I
Yep.
feel like the more that you get, like the more that you get in tune on your spiritual
Right.
journey, it's like nothing's really a coincidence anymore. It's like, oh yeah,
No,
like no, this is just all divine happening. I
they're all
feel like,
They're all signs.
yeah,
They're all They're like, it's like a roadmap.
yeah.
It's like a marker. That's it. They're like markers on your path.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a
So,
good way to put it.
so as far as your markers on your path right now, like where do you see yourself trying to evolve to next? Like what is your next progression?
You know what? I'm just flowing, right?
Mm.
I'm just wanting to be the best professor I can be,
Yeah.
and make sure that we cultivate a really super creative environment on campus. So like the loft.
Yeah.
I mean, we have it, but I just want to put my voice into it, and
For
which
sure.
which I've been doing and will continue to do, and just want to like open some minds to this music that you guys might not know. I mean, you know now, but
No. Yeah, only
when you're
because of the class.
19, 20, and this is all the classes too, not just Blacktronika, right? But like when you're 19, 20 and never experienced a club, and there's 21-year-olds because of the pandemic, they haven't been to a club, and now
I
half the
haven't.
clubs are closed.
I'm almost 22. I haven't.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
you're killing me. Like I can't. It's like, you know what I mean. It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
my godson lives here. Then they're not having a prom. Like, how do you not have a prom, bro?
Yeah, it's rough.
Not have a prom, bro?
Yeah, it's rough out here right now. You
I
know.
mean, man, the prom is like. I mean, some people don't like the prom. I love the prom. I went on 4 proms. I love the prom.
Yeah, you a little player back then.
Yeah,
And
nah,
just
people ask. Girls
uh,
ask. I don't know when. But yeah, the prom was the bomb. Yeah.
no, it's interesting times for sure. Which, just to end this, like, what kind of advice do you have for anybody right now that is trying to aspire to be better or do something? Like, what would you have to say to them?
Wow. Damn. Well, the first thing is to try your best not to have crazy expectations on outcomes. Like
Mm.
you can have, normal expectations like, if you work, hard on that paper, you expect to get a good grade.
Yeah.
You know how much work you're going to put into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But expectations on like, oh, I'm going to be a star or I'm going to be this. It's cool to have goals, but don't don't stay attached to the outcome. Just let it flow. Like you put it out there. Yeah, I'm going to be a star. You put it out there and you keep working towards that. You know what I mean? You do your best, you know? But if it's not written for you, it's just not going to happen. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So you just have to flow. You got to flow. Flow it's the way to go. And I have to remind myself a lot cuz with the stress of certain things like, it could be grading or whatever like or family member sick whatever. With stress you start to you start to forget flow, right?
Yeah.
And that's a normal thing. So you got to remind yourself that's why meditation's important cuz it resets you every day. It's like a reset,
For
you
sure.
know. So I think for young people too, don't attach yourself to the outcome, so just flow. Meditation, I'm telling you, even if it's just and you can meditate anywhere.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? Just take 5 minutes a day, just chill, like just turn everything off. Turn the phone off, put the phone in another room, turn everything off, and just sit. It'll do wonders for you, man. Like even just for instance, Questlove,
Mm.
his lady is like heavy into all of the spiritual vibes.
Right.
So I've seen his change over the past few years, and he even wrote about it recently, like just how he's meditation's changed his life, man. You can see it, like it's in his eyes, like it's and
Yeah.
everything's happening, dude. He just got the Sundance Award. Now he's doing the Sly Stone film.
Yeah.
It happens, man. Like it does. It really does. And it's when you talked about trusting in the universe or trusting, it's very hard to trust when you got bills,
Yeah.
you're in debt
Uncertainty.
and all of this, or
Yeah.
you're going through a bad breakup or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's hard to trust the universe. But dude, if
Definitely.
you know what I've gone through just personally and you know how karma works, and for me to be doing it's crazy, man. It's wild. It is the universe got your back.
Always. There's not a single time looking back when you're stressing about something like, I'm losing faith. Like it always has your back
Yeah.
every single time. Oh, all right, King. I know you have a meeting right
Yeah.
now, so thank you for your time. I really appreciate this, and
Yeah, no stress.
hopefully, Blacktronika, we'll see it like at more than just the UCs in the next couple of years. We'll see
Oh,
it
thanks. Yeah, man.
Blacktronika Global,
Yeah.
and,
There you go.
and the flow is the way to go. Go with the flow.
Yeah,
Quoted
go.
by King Britt. All right,
All
all right. Take
right,
care.
man. Oh, listen. So this recording